Welcome back. At 90 years old, Judge Frederick Block is re-examining some of the prison sentences he has handed down after 30 years on the federal bench. Sentences he is now deeming as too harsh. One of those prison terms was given to Walter King Tut Johnson in 1997, after Johnson had been convicted on drug, robbery, and witness tampering charges. But as of 2 months ago, thanks to the 2018 First Step Act, Block was able to amend Johnson's sentence, releasing him from prison after 27 years. And Judge Block and Walter Johnson join us now. Judge Block is also the author of the new book with the title, A Second Chance. A federal judge decides who deserves it. Thank you, gentlemen, both for being here. Judge, we'll start with you. Talk to us a little bit about that process, that soul searching that you did, and the conclusions you reached that some of these sentences may have been too harsh.
Well, the First Step Act, which was enacted in 2018, changed the sentencing landscape of the United States of America for federal court judges. In that statute, which was a bipartisan statute endorsed by everybody, and to his credit signed off by President Trump, it gave judges like myself the responsibility to reconsider previously imposed sentences, and if warranted, to reduce the sentences, and even in the case of Walter Johnson, to let him out of jail. I sentenced him to 5 lifetime terms of imprisonment. He was supposed to die in jail 28 years ago. Because of changes in the law, because of his rehabilitation, because of the powers that district court judges now have, I was able to free him.
Let me ask you this, Judge, and Walter. Well, one of the things that I found, I was a big critic of Mayor Ed Koch, but in his later years, he and I formed a Second Chance program with Professor Charles Ogletree. And I do give credit to President Trump for signing the act. One of the things I think people don't realize is that many people grew up like I did, where it was correction facilities, not just detention centers. And you throw away people's lives by giving them this whole extreme sentence where we should be trying to redeem people that are redeemable. Talk about that, Judge Block.
Well, I think that's absolutely correct. We have 4% of the world's population. We have 22% of its prisoners. And that was the motivation behind Congress's bipartisan effort to deal with mass incarceration. We are sentencing people to these indeterminate long terms of imprisonment. Things change over the passage of years, and they're entitled to have a second chance when and if that happens. So this legislation is important, Reverend Sharpton, and it has to be enacted by New York State as well. Only the federal government does this. New York State has a proposed statute called the Second Look Act. They ought to enact it. So people who are in jail inappropriately and improperly in New York State have a second chance also.
Walter, tell us about you and your second chance and why it is so needed to have the opportunity for many others to have a second chance at life.
The reason why it's so needed is because, like many guys like myself, we made a lot of mistakes in our past. And many times it's because of the communities we may come from, our concept on life. But as we get older and recognize our wrongs, we start to better ourselves. And as we begin to better ourselves and change, it's only right that you recognize the fact that we are working on ourselves and we are trying to become better human beings, and that we're no longer a threat to society or the threat that we once were.
Judge Frederick, Judge Block, do you have a sense of what is holding this legislation from being passed? What's holding it back?
My guess is that it's a political dynamic. I think that the leadership, is concerned about being criticized, that they're soft on crime. There's a lot of sensitivity in New York State with the bail reform situation we have, and they're gun shy. And they ought not to be. I mean, it's the right thing to do, and they have to really belly up to the bar. I hope this legislative session will finally enact that statute.
And Walter, tell us a little bit more about you and how you feel about your second chance and what you're doing with it.
I feel great about the second chance. I'm ecstatic. Now that I'm home, I get the opportunity to speak to the youth. I speak to other guys that I know who have made mistakes. I have a wife who speaks to the girls. I've developed a non-profit organization, Champions for Change, And we just want people to know that if you're a human being, you can change. You can better yourself. You know, I want guys and girls who have made mistakes to understand the fact that they are not the mistakes that they've made. And all they have to do is participate in the process of life to become better individuals. And it all comes from choices. You know, you choose better people, you choose better places, and you choose better things. And before you know it, your life will become better. And that's what is happening to me.
That's such an important message. We'll close the conversation with just exactly that. The new book, A Second Chance, A Federal Judge Decides Who Deserves It, is on sale now. Author and judge Frederick Block and motivational speaker Walter King Tut Johnson. We thank you both very much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Morning Joe.